And in this way, we want to democratize access to therapy. I was very excited that someone did this research on what it takes to build an exponential organization. This is not linear. I don't have to take 1 million steps. I have to take 30 steps. But if they're exponential, then it's going to be much easier to reach my goal. My name is Elena. I have founded a startup called Selftalk. A few years ago, I was having a tech job in London. And at some point, I felt some sort of inner emptiness. Like everything on the outside was working well. I had a good job, living in London, living a good life. But somehow my mental health was not that good. Like there was a lot of stress at work, stress in the personal life, going through this quarter of a life crisis, if you heard. And I turned to therapy for help. And what I discovered is that therapy was quite expensive. Someone quoted me £250 a session. And I could afford to go for a few sessions, but I felt like I needed more. And it was way too expensive. So when COVID started, I decided to do a license myself because I had a lot of free time. And what I discovered there shocked me. Initially, before studying therapy, I thought therapists, they have this gift, they just understand people. But actually, in my 1-year course, I discovered there is an algorithm to the human mind and how to heal it. So coming from the startup industry, I thought there should be an app for that where I can listen to therapy, because only from listening to it, I can do a lot of it myself. I just want to make it clear, not all therapy can be done by ourselves. There is a space for the therapist to do traditional therapy, but a part of it can be done individually, like we can do it on our own. And that's called self-therapy. So we end up building a platform for self-therapy, where we invite top psychologists, and not only top mental health professionals, to divide their work into a part that can be done by clients on their own, and a part that can't be done. And the part that can't be done, we don't touch it. We leave it for traditional sessions. But the part that can be done on their own by clients, we invite these professionals to design a self-therapy journey. And they upload it on our platform, and the users can do it safely on their own. And in this way, we want to democratize access to therapy. As a startup founder, it's very easy to get distracted with lots of things going on. There is AI, there is so much going on. There was Web3. So at some point I felt I need to make myself a strategy on how to reach the goal we wanted to reach. And I started from thinking to deconstruct my goal. So I've created a few slides on, I want to reach, let's say, unicorn level. Like you want to have a big impact. We never thought about reaching a unicorn level. We always thought about, we want to touch 1 billion lives. What do we need to reach this goal? So in my process of researching what's out there, how others did it, I found the book. And I was it was crazy for me. Before that, I was feeling like it's going to be very hard to reach this goal. Oh my God, we've set it such a crazy goal, because I was thinking linear about an exponential organization without knowing. And I was thinking I'll have to work so hard. And my mind was already getting tired, And when I read the book, and I was like, oh my God, I was thinking linear about something that it's exponential. And when I understood this, I was like, this is amazing that these people researched these companies and they kind of made a map of elements that we should take care of to build a company. And I think for female founders, this is so good to know about the concept, because it gives them this courage to start something big. Because sometimes you're even afraid to start because you think oh my God, it's way too big. It's going to be so much work. It's going to kill me, So I totally recommend the concept. In general, this way of thinking specifically to female founders. It gives a very good boost to start a crazy mission like this one. And second, in this research, I started to read the book and I created myself a strategy. What do I need in order to reach this crazy goal? I even included in the strategy the title of the book and the photo of it, for investors to know where did I took the framework for. So it's a well-researched framework. So I've started kind of randomly, I would say. I think that's the beauty of the internet, that we can, get access to resources that someone on the other side of the world have developed. And I created a plan for our team. These are the elements we need to look at in order for us to build something exponential. And the main important one was to change our way of thinking from linear to exponential. And when you think exponential, it just like feels much more peaceful. You're like, I don't have to kill myself in this process. It's not going to be that hard because look, exponential thinking works differently than the traditional one. Yeah, so we have started validating the idea in 2022, and we've built an app that's like Spotify for therapy. We have launched it in 2023. We had people spending more than 1 hour listening to therapy, like 1 hour per user. That was impressive. Like we gained more than 2,000 users in the first few months. We've interviewed like around 50 of those, and we learned that they want more interaction. So a few days ago, we launched a new version based on self-therapy journeys. So yeah, this is just fresh, new. We inviting top professionals to create these journeys, and our job is to make people let people know that first, therapy, you can do therapy on your own, like you can do self-therapy. It's a skill, it's one of the skills of the future. And on our platform, they can learn it. So yeah, we are like on our way to product market fit, but the data we have so far in regards to how much time people spend on the platform is very encouraging that we are close to that. What we did before building an app. So my journey as a founder was a bit special. I worked in a startup studio, so I had access to investors. I've raised before starting the idea, like before even I raised without even a pitch deck, like 150K. And because I had the money and I knew the market is quite busy in the mental health space, like there were lots of mindfulness apps, I kind of wanted really bad to make sure I don't build a useless. So before even writing one line of code, we've created manually audio therapy audios. At some point we sold them. We made like $1,500 from selling audios and sending them over WhatsApp. Like we would record them for people will tell what problems they have. We would record audios for them and we will give them over WhatsApp. They would listen to it. We will ask the feedback. I was very keen on building something that people love, like validating that before writing one line of code. It was not hard to build the app. What was more important is to make sure it's what people need. So the way we work is that we have our legal business in London. We are spending some time in Silicon Valley over the year to just, when we launch, when we have to validate something with the customers. But when it comes to deep work, like just working, we are executing from Moldova, the country I'm originally from. Our tech team is here, and this space here is just perfect to do deep work because there's no distractions, there's no big conferences. So it's just perfect to be focused and executing. So I think I wanted to become an entrepreneur from high school. And right after uni, I started my first company that was a traditional marketing agency. And I failed miserably. And I decided to move to London to learn how to do bigger business and in general to learn how to do business. So in London, I joined the startup studio. There, over 3 years, I participated in the launch of around 13 startups. One of them became a unicorn, the fastest growing unicorn in Europe. And I was very inspired because I was there from the day one. And I met the team, I saw how they acted, and it really inspired me when they grow so fast over the next 2 years. So when COVID started and I did this hobby, as a hobby, I did a therapy course. The idea came to me, and because I was in the ecosystem, I had access to investors. It was quite easy for me to get the money. I had the right plan, I would say. I think I did not pitch my idea. I pitched my plan on how to validate it and how to make sure what to build. So yeah, this is my background. Myself, I'm not coming from the psychology space, but we do have a chief of science that's taking care of everything that linked with psychology. She has a PhD in psychology. Myself, I'm coming from combining these elements of entrepreneurship, startups, and raising money, building a digital product with the science of psychology. What helped us, I can add something else here, that we followed this process of agile funding. We agreed with the investor for the whole amount, but we told him just send us the first amount of money till we validate. And after that, we decide together, based on the data, what should be the course and should we continue or should we just drop the idea and pivot to something else. I also presented some options on how it can pivot if it doesn't work, the initial plan. So, and he transferred us the first 50K and after that another 50. So it was very agile, the process of, and very realistic in terms of, look, this may not work. people may not need it. It may just be an idea that we too like. So yeah, like that. I think that's something. Agile funding, I would recommend people to look into it. For first-time founders, it can be something that helps them get the ball rolling. In general, we applied the concept of exponential thinking to what are we doing, and we thought about, because what are we doing? It's self-therapy and self-coaching. We are working with transforming the mind. So same as the body can have a problem and we feel it in our cells, like, our cells got affected, our mind also can have a pathology. And we were thinking that, in these days with like all the changes, AI, things are moving so fast. Also, our identity has to change in a very fast way. So the third way of like us applying exponential thinking was into our solution directly. Like we were thinking of ways to give, or like tools for the mind that can transform exponentially. Like what type of tools can we give to our own mind to upgrade our identity so fast that we are like catching up with like how fast the world is moving. Because soon maybe we may not have jobs. How we will like upgrade our identity that fast? Because we've been trained to think that, oh, you should have a job, this is a part of your identity, blah blah blah. And you will have to change that. If you'll not have a job anymore, who are you then? There is a huge gap that needs to be in your identity that needs to be replaced. So the third part of like how we integrated exponential thinking was in, okay, how can our solution can provide an exponential way of changing your mind? So to come back to your question about what elements we've used, first we've used, I think the most used in our company is the elements of algorithms. So we are inviting psychologists to tell us what's their algorithm that they use in traditional therapy sessions. Like, let's say if someone comes with a problem that's feeling close to burnout, what do they tell them? Like, first they get them to identify the emotion, or like leave it with their body. Like there is a process to that. And usually psychologists, they don't know it by heart. It's just unconscious knowledge. But in the process of working with us, we get it into a structure, into an algorithm. And we are uploading it on our platform, and we're giving it to our own AI to train itself based on this algorithm, adding the user's data. So the most important part is the alg part. Another one that I am crazy about is the experimentation one. Like we do have a document with all the experiments we are running, from culture experiments, like, oh, let's do this team meeting and see how we feel if we talk about this and that, to marketing experiments, to like everything that we want to test or everything that we want to do. We are recording it as an experiment, and we are tracking it to see over time what it takes. And I really loved when I saw this part in the book, that it kind of gave me a green flag, like a green way to use the experiments and be more comfortable to come up with any experiment in my mind. Like whatever things I think that it may be a good test to do, I can put it in this framework that exponential organizations wrote about, and I can say, okay, let's run it as an experiment. And this kind of gives a lot of freedom. I don't know why I was not thinking like that before. I kind of thought like, oh no, I should follow these procedures that some other, successful founders would recommend. But now I'm more like, no, I have this idea. My intuition tells me that this may work. Let's just fast test it and see how it goes. The problem before was that we were running some experiments, but because we were not keeping track of them, we were not writing them down, it was a bit messy. And like some resources, they got lost on the way. Like we would start an experiment, but you would forget about it because there's so much going on, users coming, bugs to fix. But when we started to document them, something really good happened, because we could like come back and take the learnings out of those experiments and move forward with new experiments based on the learnings from the old experiments. So yeah, this is something that documenting them was something that really changed for us, because we were not losing learnings. What changed for me after making this strategy based on the Exponential Organizations book, I got much more peace of mind, like clarity. Like I got a bit more relaxed. That look, there is a framework to this. I don't have to kind of like crazily go and learn, like listen to everything. Some people studied it for the last 20 years. And like it gave me some peace of mind, and that was used for more creativity. Like I did not have to think as much about the structure, and like, how should I structure the company? What should I look into? I could think more about, okay, how can I serve the user better? So this is one thing that changed for me, specifically as a female founder, that our body is a bit more, I would say it's a bit more sensitive to cortisol, like the hormone of stress. So that's something, like for us, at least what I noticed from my experience, that for us females, the normal hustle culture from startups, it doesn't work as good as for men, because our bodies like has a different hormonal cycle. So taking care of our mental health, it's very important. It's important for everyone, but I think for female founders it's even more important because of this like differences in hormones that we have over the month. So first, for me, that happened, that I got more comfortable with my role as a CEO, and I got much more confidence that I'm doing the right thing. And this is huge. I know for a man it may not be like, okay, but what are you talking about? But you look into the statistics, sometimes females can be a bit like more not as confident if they don't have all the points up to 100% got like well researched and stuff. So for me that was something important, to make sure, like, to feel good that okay, I got it and I can use my creativity to serve the client, because there is a framework I'm using, well proven, well researched. There is nothing I should worry about that in that regard. So I think that's one point. Coming from the mental health space, what I would say that it takes a strong fundament in order for us to build an exponential organization, or in general, in order for us to achieve any goal we have, it takes a strong fundament. If you have a strong, solid ground in you first, you can achieve anything, like you get the energy to work on your goals. And that strong, solid ground can be your identity, like what you believe about yourself. And what you believe about yourself, it's something you can always change. It's not something fixed. It's a process. You can add new things, you can add new ways of thinking, and you can change it and transform it based on the way you need to transform yourself. I really love something here that Jung says, is that we are trained to feel like we grow up thinking that we should be good people, but actually we should the goal of life is to become whole, to bring home all our parts that we have not integrated. And I wanted to say that regardless of what are you doing right now, there are some parts in you that you don't know that hold some wisdom and some intelligence that you need to reach your goal, or like to become the person that you want to become, to build this company, to, whatever goal you have to reach that. And through therapy, or like through self-coaching, you can, discover within yourself the potential you need. So what I would say to someone that like feels not confident is that's a temporary state. Lack of confidence is a temporary state. There are some parts in you that you don't know yet that are confident, that can help you. You do have inner resources that you can access. Most of the time, these inner resources are hidden in our subconscious mind, and it just takes some practices to access them. Sometimes we do hold a lot of dysfunctional beliefs about ourselves that we have gathered from our parents or from society. Like that doesn't really matter from where we gather them. The idea is that we can always use some tools like self-talk to discover what are those dysfunctional thinking patterns. We can let go of them and we can adopt new ones. What's the most important part is that we are not fixed. Our identity is not fixed. It can be changed. And adopting new ways of thinking, it's definitely something that can help a person that is not confident at the moment. Our website is selftalk.space. There you can find self-therapy journeys and also self-coaching journeys. Mainly, we want to teach people how to be their own therapist. There is a level of skills that you can get to become your own therapist. And we think that's a way of exponentially transforming yourself. You get some skills that you can use in any situation to manage yourself in the way that you need. So we definitely think that's one of the skills of the future, like one of the soft skills of the future. And yeah, like we are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram, the same name. And definitely if someone has any questions and want to talk to me, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you can always send me a request or a message and I will be happy to talk to you.
If you enjoyed this, click the thumbs up and subscribe for more videos just like it. The algorithm thinks you'll enjoy this video next.